What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm interviewing Fouad Abiad, and this is part 2 of my 2-part interview. We go into a whole range of topics, but if you haven't listened to part 1, make sure you go back and listen to it. There's a card at the top of the screen right now that you can click on. Also, the link is in the description. So click on that, listen to part 1 if you have not listened to it yet. But in part 2, we go into a range of topics. So we talk about Hosstile supplements and apparel and why he started a supplement company, what separates him from everyone else. Plus, we go into his future, what it holds in terms of family life, life after bodybuilding, and also his career. And is he going to compete in 2020? And if he does, which show will it be? Plus, we talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. So I hope you really enjoy part 2 because the feedback on part 1 was awesome. So thank you guys so much. And if you guys want to order and support, obviously, Fouad Abiad and myself with this channel, make sure you head to hosstile.com, which is Hosstile with 2 S's. The link is at the bottom here right now. And also the link is in the description as well for you guys. And you can use XAV10, XAV10, and you'll save yourself 10% off all the apparel and all the supplements over as well. And just take a look at them because the supplements are outrageous. But anyway, on with part 2 of my 2-part interview with IFBB Pro Bodybuilder, Fouad Abiad. Touch on and talk about the supplement company Hosstile. Now, why did you start a supplement company? Because it's something that's is a reasonably saturated market out there, and I've heard stories of I've worked for a supplement company before, and there's companies out there that go and patent stuff and then go around suing other companies and all that sort of stuff. So we know there's a lot that goes down in the supplement industry. So why start a supplement company?
Because I want money. No, I'm just kidding. That's what people think. Honestly, I think it's a passion project. I wanted to, let's be fully transparent. It's a passion project combined with a career choice, combined with a way for me and my wife to control our own destiny. So it's those 3 reasons are the main reasons, okay? So passion project because I love bodybuilding, and I know I'm not going to compete forever, but I want to be involved in bodybuilding. So with the podcast, I can remain active in bodybuilding. I can keep interviewing people and stay kind of relevant. Not relevant as a competitor, but I can stay in the bodybuilding scene. And then with the supplements, I'm actually providing athletes with their supplements, providing people, not just athletes, but their supplements. That makes me feel like I'm part of the bodybuilding scene still, and I still have a passion for what I'm doing. And you can see part of the problem with the supplement company is, for the majority of people, they're not up to speed or 100% educated on what's what. Like, what ingredients are what? Why is this pre-workout cost this much? Why does this pre-workout cost this much? When I say it's a passion project, if you understand the ingredient profiles, you'll see why I'm saying it's a passion project. Like, our manufacturer, I don't want to say advised me not to do what I did, but basically was like, you're building a Ferrari, right? And I'm like, I want a Ferrari. I'm like, I don't want to fucking Focus. I want a Ferrari. Yeah. So, but that was my passion and that's where the passion part comes into play is I wanted something that I personally want to use. I want to scoop my own fucking pre-workout that I like and go to the gym. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't want to use that high a level of a pre-workout because they're like, I just want the energy. Just give me a little bit of caffeine that costs $30 and that's good enough for me. That's not what my company's about. It's more passion than it is dollars. The second aspect comes into, and that's another thing I just want to touch on really quickly. People are like, well, your products are so expensive. You're just trying to make money. And I'm like, if they understood what it costs to put the formula together, they would understand that I'm actually making less money than the companies out there that are charging $35 or $40.
Absolutely. And the thing that I see as well is like, when you first contacted me about it, first thing I went and did was go on your website. I went hosstile.com, checked out the products, and first thing I did was look at the ingredients list. So I looked at Bloodshot first, so that's the pump product, non-stim.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and I saw 32 grams serve. It's going to be full of carbs. So I looked at it. I was like, no carbs. I was like, holy crap! You got 6 grams of this, 3 grams of this, 3 grams of this, 2 grams of like mushroom extracts. You got like everything in there that I would sort of put in a product that my limited knowledge knows about.
You could build your own.
And
you could build your own.
32 grams, which is insane. It's unheard of. Most pump products would be what, 6? And you're
I was just gonna say, let's explain that to people real quick. So, and I'm sorry if I'm getting amped up. I get excited. I get excited at the fact that it's mine, not mine because, I'm going to be rich. I get excited because I'm like, I fucking built this shit, and I know it stands up to any other pre-workout on the market. I don't give a fuck. I looked at all of them.
Yeah.
So the thing we need to explain about the scoop size, I don't think people get this. Our scoop size for our pump product is 32 grams. Okay. When you see most pre-workouts, their scoop size is like, and I'm not saying there's none out there that are high, but the majority are between like 6 and 12. And for people that don't understand that, if I build a pre-workout with just caffeine, a little bit of citrulline, a little bit of alanine, and whatever other garbage generic ingredient, I can get it to 6 grams, and I can sell it for, $40 and make like whatever. I'm not going to go into numbers. So I don't want to hurt anybody else's company, but you make big margins that way. When you get to 32 grams, you have to add an entire list of ingredients to get to that 30 grams. So we don't have 3 or 4 ingredients. There's like 12 ingredients in ours, and they're all max dose. Like if you put more than this in there, people are going to start to have bad effects. That's where we're at the peak amount. So anyway, the point is, I just want people to understand, like, one of the very first ways, because a lot of people don't know how to study up on all the ingredients. So one of the simple ways to figure out why one product costs this much and one product costs this much is look at the scoop size. And like you said, if it's not carbs, right? Because you can put 15 grams of carbs in a product and have a big scoop size. If there's no carbs, look at the scoop sizes and you'll see kind of what you're buying. So anyway, part of it was passion because I wanted to create something better than everybody else's, or at least as good, right? Part of it was career because I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because when I started bodybuilding, I was studying to be a police officer. And I was like, let me go do this bodybuilding thing. And when I'm done bodybuilding, I can come back to being a police officer, but I can't do the reverse. So I thought, okay, maybe after bodybuilding, I'll just go back to being a police officer. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. I just don't. This is not, and not there's anything against it. The one thing I don't like about the police officer thing was moving up as a police officer in the ranks is a matter of tenure and experience. In bodybuilding, you move up based on how hard you fucking work.
Yeah.
So I needed something that was going to measure my work with my success to keep me interested. So I'm like, let's go into business, right? Because business, that's what business is. The harder you fucking work, the better you do. So that was the career aspect of it. And then the third aspect of it was my wife has worked in the supplement industry and in the bodybuilding magazine industry for probably 15 years. Okay. Oh, wow. She wrote for Flex magazine. She was the editor for Muscle Mag. She wrote articles for Muscular Development. She was editor in chief of, was it Muscle Fitness Hers or one of the women's magazines? I can't remember. And then she worked at Muscle Tech for many years and won awards there and whatever. And she worked for a couple other supplement companies. I know she worked with with Evogen for a little while too. Anyway, so the wealth of experience she has is like ranges from writing to photography, not herself, but like directing photo shoots to putting together magazines. Like it's just, I'm like, I got a secret weapon. I'm like, honestly, I have like 6 employees in one person, and I'm married to her. So I'm like, and she was starting to feel like she wanted to do her own thing. And I'm like, look, let's just do it together. So I kind of feel like I have a family thing going. I have the passion thing going, and I'm extending my career into a new thing that keeps me interested. So there's a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to give you the standard fucking reason that everybody else gives, which is, oh, I got 20 years experience and I know more than everybody. No, you don't. Everybody knows what the ingredients are. It's just who has to pay for them, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that's a fucking secret, right? The fucking labels, there's no proprietary blends, right? You see everything on here. So there's no secrets. It's just who's going to work the hardest and who's going to be the most honest and who's going to put their fucking money where their mouth is, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of how it all goes.
I was going to mention the ingredient list as well. There's no proprietary blends. It's all very transparent. And it's actually a lot like yourself as well. You're very transparent in the way you open up about things now. And you know, you're honest with me. You know, when we first had a conversation, you said, hey, can we be honest with each other? And we had a conversation and it was just super honest. And I love that, man. Like, people know where they stand and people know where they stand with your products as well. Now, how do you plan, I suppose, on marketing this long term? Is it educating people on what the ingredients are, you know, providing free content and things like that? You know, like with my deal, I'm providing a few videos for you a month for the Hosstile channel and stuff. Is it a lot about providing a lot free for people and they'll want to obviously support your brand and also obviously educating people as well?
Well, one of the biggest things, one of the largest hurdles when you're doing something different than everybody else is the money it costs to educate everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you one perfect example. So we have a product, we have an ingredient in our products called Pico 2, which you mentioned is a mushroom complex.
Yeah.
People who know supplements and know ingredients know what Pico 2 is. They know what the mushroom complex is and they get excited about it. People who are on the periphery of buying supplements, they don't know what Pico 2 is, but they know what beta alanine is.
Yeah.
Now those two ingredients are very similar, except Pico 2 is dramatically better. Anybody who looked at the studies or tried them both, which I did before I did this whole thing, will tell you Pico 2 is dramatically a much better ingredient. But that's education, right? So it's going to cost me videography dollars, photography dollars, you know, writing articles. It's going to cost me all that money to put that education out and let people know, look, this is the better ingredient. So our biggest thing, like, you know, telling people about NO3T, you know, arginine nitrate, things like that, they're kind of newer ingredients. Everybody knows what citrulline is. Everybody knows what beta alanine is. Everybody knows, you know, caffeine, and those are simple, but we put different shit in ours. So now the biggest hurdle is we got to tell people why it's better. So that's the thing I'm noticing. That's the biggest thing, marketing wise, as to what we have to do to really inform people. Why are you paying a little bit more money? Why is this so much better? And I have to try and educate people as to why that's true. And it's hard to do. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. But one of the other things I'm doing is we're currently testing samples for our protein. So we're going to have,
awesome.
See, to me, I feel like the company is going to be best suited to have a 2-tiered system where we have, you know, we're going to have a whey isolate that everybody knows what a whey isolate is. So it's not going to be any education there. It's going to be a whey isolate with digestive enzymes. Everybody will love it. And then on the pre-workout side, I'm going to do something I didn't want to do. I didn't want a high stim pre-workout, but that's because I don't take high stim pre-workouts.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest fault in business is when owners are so arrogant they don't listen to their consumers.
Yeah.
And our consumers are asking for a high stim pre-workout. They want something that's going to get them crazy, get them cranked up. And so I think down the road, maybe soon, we're going to have a really high stim pre-workout that people can use as well. So the marketing thing is going to be like this. Here's a bunch of products that I like, that I love, that I know are awesome, that are different than everybody else's. And here's some products that you guys are already familiar with.
Yeah.
So that way we'll have an element of, oh, you'll recognize these ingredients. You'll recognize this protein. But then we have these other things over here that you might want to try one day because they're fucking amazing. So it's a multi-tiered approach, you know, having obviously the right athletes on board, you know, doing all, you know, having people putting out content for us is also helpful too. So we're going to work. It's a work in progress. The one thing I will say about our company is I'm not in a rush. You know, we're doing well now. Things are selling, paying the bills. I'm happy. But I'm not in a rush to be, you know, $100 million company tomorrow. One day, we just keep plugging away. And it's kind of like my bodybuilding career. Everything's bodybuilding. It's all bodybuilding. It's all the same shit. My bodybuilding career didn't take off, you know, day one. It took me time to build up. and get notoriety. And this is going to be the same thing.
Yeah, there's a few different ways you can do things. Some people have, 4-year goals where they're like, okay, I want to sell the company in 4 years, so they grow it as quick as they can. Then we normally see when that company's sold, especially in the fitness industry, a lot of the time it fades out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see that so often, and I feel like that's not what you're doing, which is, I think, really cool. And I love the way you're promoting everything. But let's talk a bit about YouTube and what you got going on there, because I remember I started following you sort of just as you kicked back off your YouTube again last year. I think you were at about 40,000 followers when I started following you. And I look at you now, and I don't know what it is now, but I know it was around 160 or so K followers now. So you've grown that exponentially and hugely, and you've got cooking videos and a whole bunch of other stuff on your personal YouTube channel. So why did you decide to get back into it? Is it because you knew you were starting a supplement company and you thought this would be a great branding, I suppose, way of branding your supplement company, or what was it?
No, that was actually, that was an afterthought, to be honest with you. I just, I always, look, everybody's a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. Everybody. Yeah. Okay. Like, I haven't talked to one person who's not. And I really like, I'm like, I think I can do that for bodybuilding. There's channels that do like the fucking drama bullshit. There's channels that do the news, but there wasn't a channel that just brought the guys on and let them fucking talk and let people actually get to know who they are. And, like Luke, one of the things, and I don't care if people think this is arrogant, I feel like I introduced everybody to Luke. Not like nobody knew who he was, but I introduced him to his personality. Like, people knew Luke, but they didn't know Luke until they watched the podcast like 10 times. And they're like, holy fuck, this guy's hilarious. Yeah. And he's crazy, and and I feel like they got to know him through what we were doing. And that's kind of what I try and do on the regular podcast. I do also is I get the guys on, I try and have a conversation with them, try and get people to know who they are. And it was just, same thing as a supplement company. It was kind of like a passion project and like something I really want to do, but I was always scared to do it. And I bumped into Jordan Shallows, who's known as the Muscle Doc on Instagram. Very well-known chiropractor. He does seminars and everything. Anyway, he lives in Windsor. So he came to Windsor to visit his parents. We went for a workout, and he says to me, I said something to him because he has his own podcast. And I said, so I'd love to do that. And he goes, why don't you? I don't know. I don't have the setup. I don't have the camera. I don't have the fucking this. And he goes, just do something. He goes, use your webcam. He goes, just start. He goes, just start. And it's funny, if you look back to like the very first Real Bodybuilding podcast, it's like on my desk with like this little fucking microphone. It's the same microphone, but it was sitting on a stand, and there's like nothing behind me. And it's not much different now. It's kind of the same, but it looks a little better. But it was him that told me to just get started. So I got started, and I have some connections, obviously being in the sport for so long. So I was able to get guys to come on and shoot the shit with me. And immediately I noticed the numbers were better than most podcasts. Like, I didn't know what a good podcast was, because the only podcast I really watch is Rogan's, and he gets like 1 million views per video. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I only got 10,000. I'm shit. But then I looked around at other bodybuilding podcasts. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not that bad, because people are watching it more so than other channels. So it gave me kind of reinforcement to keep doing it. And I enjoyed doing it. So I'm like, okay, this works. And then what I noticed was it was helping my business, because at the time I had the t-shirt business. I already had Hosstile launched, but it was just clothing. And it started selling me more clothes. And I'm like, okay, this is working on a number of different ways now. It's fun. It's like helping. And the guys were cool too, because like, for example, I had like Justin Compton on. And Justin Compton is obviously coaching now. He messaged me after. He's like, dude, I got like X amount of clients after I did your podcast. And then like 2 months later, he told me, he's like, I'm still getting clients from the podcast. I'm like, that shit really makes me happy, right? It makes me feel like I'm helping them and helping myself at the same time. So it was just all around a good idea. And I felt like people were enjoying what I was putting out. So I kept doing it. Once people stop watching, I'm probably going to be like, okay, it's time to wrap this thing up. But for now, people still watch it. The YouTube thing, when I started back, I was at 27,000, and I'm at 160 now. I don't know why. I don't know why anybody watches it other than to watch the guests. I don't know why my cooking videos are so good. I cook like shit. I don't know why. No, the cooking videos do the best on my channel, and I'm a horrible cook, but people seem to like it. So like, okay. And I don't know. It's hard to do because you run out of ideas for content, but the podcast is easier because I can just keep getting guests on and educating people that way. So it's still work in progress.
Absolutely. And where do you see the channel going? Is there anything you want to do different in the future, or do you want to do a lot of the same of what you're doing now?
I don't know. I've never actually considered like where it would go. I'd like to get a lot more cooking recipes because people seem to like the cooking as long as it's bodybuilding friendly and it's easy. But I don't really feel like there's, I had an idea to do some car stuff because I know there's a lot of car junkies out there that are bodybuilders too. So I had an idea to do like a car show because I have a lot of friends that have nice cars. I thought it'd be cool to do like a car show where you do like a bodybuilding, still do the bodybuilding interview, but kind of while you're interviewing about their car too.
Yeah.
So I thought about something like that, but overall, no, I don't see it. I really, really would just like to get better at doing podcasts and have them really be like my main focus because I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy introducing people to, like I just did Patrick Tour yesterday or the day before. And so many people messaged me like, I had no idea who this guy was, but he's so smart. That kind of stuff is like the reason I like doing it. So I really don't see it changing too much. I just want to get better at what's on there now.
Yeah, absolutely. And YouTube's funny because sometimes I'll do a video. I did one the other day, and I might said to my partner, I said, babe, this is going to go nuts. This video is going to go awesome. And it got like 5,000 views. I was like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Because sometimes I'll do one and I'm like, it was okay. Probably only get a couple thousand views. And then it will get 30,000. And I'm like, why? I don't understand it.
It's the worst. I did a cooking video with a videographer, and he's got it with his professional camera, and it's all edited and it's perfect. And we've been doing them. And we did a few, and he put out, and most of them got like good views, couple 100,000, 300,000, 400,000.
Wow.
But then I did a chicken video where I just used my own camera with like a tripod, and I just did the chicken in my own shitty editing, and I put it out, and it's the biggest fucking video on my channel. And I'm like, I just needed some content. I was like, I'm going to barbecue some. I think I air fried it, right? I marinated it and I air fried it. I just thought I'm going to put something out.
Yeah.
It's got like 800,000 views. And I'm like, it's like you said, sometimes you're like, this is going to be shit, but I got to put something out because, I just, you have to keep that rhythm going, right?
Yeah.
So you try to think of things, and I'm like, this probably isn't going to be big, but it might help some people. And it's huge. And then other times you take all this time, you put together this, what you think is a masterpiece, and it fucking nobody gives a shit. So it's like, I don't know the rhyme or reason. I just try and keep doing stuff and seeing what works.
For sure. And for the Hosstile, the videos I'm doing, they'll go on the Hosstile Supplement Web YouTube channel. Is that right?
Which videos are those?
So the videos in my contract. So the ones where I do 2 videos a month.
Well, we have 2 videos a month. Yeah, but that's not like the main part of your. Oh, I guess we're getting into like we're really speaking openly now. But the main part of your contract is, I guess there's 2 parts to your contract. Because we have the desktop bodybuilding side, right, and we have the Xavier is an athlete side.
Yeah.
So the desktop bodybuilding is just our sponsorship. Like we just have our commercial on there, and that's all you have to do for that. And the athlete side of Xavier will go onto our Hosstile platform. Yeah. We can put the desktop stuff on there too. I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, but basically, like my partner, she's a former chef, obviously into fitness and all that sort of stuff. And I think I'm decent at cooking, so I'm definitely going to do a couple of little cooking things for the Hosstile channel. And she's got some great recipes. So, when we first met, like I was in heaven because she was like, obviously when you first meet each other, you're trying to impress each other a bit. She was cooking me dinner every night. She was waking up cooking me omelets, and I was like, this is heaven. It's died down a little bit now. Now we've got our own kids, and just we're more comfortable with each other. It's like, oh, you get yours. I'm like, what? But
I was just gonna say, how often is she making that dinner now?
It's more we do it like 50-50 split sort of thing. She does dinner more for me than I do for her. But it's definitely died down a bit now. But I actually saw that Sommer had cooked you a meal or something, and this was actually you posted this and tagged Luke in it. You said, oh, we're even now or something like that because Sommer came and just cooked you a meal and just put it right in front of you. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, because he was making fun of me because he's like, I can get my wife to make dinner for me whenever I want, or not my wife, his girlfriend. I can get her to make dinner for me whenever I want. And so we talked about it one week on the podcast, and the next week on the podcast, he's like, yeah, she made me dinner. She just put it down in front of me. And I was like, motherfucker, right? So I don't know if my wife heard me on the podcast or not, but like the next week I had like a steak and rice fucking dinner with sauteed vegetables. I'm like, this is great. So I had to fuck with him a little bit, but I couldn't win that battle. There's no way. He could have had his girlfriend cook fucking every meal for him. So, but that was still new too. That's not fair.
Yeah, true.
In my defense, we've been together for 13 years. So I don't know anybody's been together that long who's still getting like every meal cooked for them. So,
yeah,
no. But what was I going to say? When your wife does the food or when you do the food for your YouTube channel, if I can give you one tip, don't make it too complex.
No. We've got some good simple recipes.
Yeah, my theory about why my cooking videos do well is not because I can cook, but it's because it's easy stuff to cook. Yeah. You know, it's like four ingredients. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think some people have like a cooking series, but it's so many fucking ingredients that guys are like, I'm not going to do that every time I got to make a meal. You know what I mean? Like people want like something easy. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be great. I'd love to have that for our channel.
For sure. We've got like protein ice cream recipes that are like super easy, so we'll definitely upload all that sort of stuff. But I want to get your opinion on a few like bodybuilding topics at the moment and what's going on in the industry. So the 2020 Mr. Olympia has been rescheduled for December. Now, you were sort of talking that you might compete this year, you might, still compete again, you might not as well. What's your thoughts now on the whole 2020 competition season and obviously the Olympia? Is that something you could make a run at, or is it just sort of you sitting it out now because of the whole coronavirus?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. My body, so I had tricep surgery in June or July, I can't remember. So I went off everything after my tricep surgery, and then I had some high blood pressure issues that I had to get taken care of, which I have. Everything's under control. So I took like 6 months off of everything, and I maintained my body still around like 270, 275 naturally. Well, I don't want to say naturally, but you know what I mean? Like I wasn't on anything. And now that I've started up again, I started up again in February, I think. So it's been 3 months. It's really taken my body a long time to come back to where it was before my tricep tear. And I'm still not all the way back, even though it's been, 2 or 3 months. So what I tell people when they ask me if I'm going to compete is this. I looked at the Boston Pro. There's two things that are wrong with that, which is one, I don't know if I can cross the border because I don't know if the borders are going to be open by, 20 weeks from now. If they are, that's cool because the second part about it is it's 20 weeks away. So that gives me like a good 8 weeks to bulk and then 12 weeks to get shredded and get on stage. If I'm going to compete, that will be the show because it's October 10th. It's 5 days before my birthday. And I think it's still a qualifier for the Olympia.
Yeah, it will be.
But I would have to win. And I don't have any delusions of grandeur. I know I'm 41. I know my body, I have some tears here and there. My ultimate goal, this is the problem. My last show I did was the Arnold in 2017. And it's the absolute worst showing I've ever had. I had torn my quad. My stomach was bloated. So my legs were down in size and I ate the wrong shit. So my stomach was bloated. The whole combination of that physique, I'm embarrassed that was my last showing. So to me, the ultimate goal, the Olympia would be a cherry on top. To me, the ultimate goal would be to step on stage one more time and at my best and leave my best as the last time people saw me. And then that would be it. I don't know if I want to compete too much longer. If I can do it again next year, I would like to. But things get hard when you're 41. Me and Jay had a talk when we did the Q&A for John's channel. John, I thought I was weird. But Jay had mentioned like when he hit 40, he started tweaking things left and right. Every time he tried to get under something heavy, he would tweak a quad or tweak his bicep or tweak this. I thought I was weird for that. But I guess I've talked to a few people now that, once you get to this age, it's kind of like you've beaten the shit out of your body so bad that those things tend to happen. Right. So for me, I can't sit here and say I'm going to compete. For me, it's very, very simple. If I can stay healthy, if I can get my body back to where it was in May, I'll get on stage in October.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I have to leave that there.
Yeah, I appreciate all your honesty and being so open about everything. Now, someone who probably isn't as honest and open about certain things as Kai Greene, and I want to discuss that with you because he's put out a photo just recently, and it's obvious it's photoshopped. He did that posing video where his teeth has the gap in them, you know, where he doesn't have a gap in his teeth anymore in real life because he's had it fixed up. So he's obviously putting stuff out there. Like, I don't know if he's just sitting back, put that stuff out there and just laughing at people talking about it, or what he's actually, or he's just trying to create hype, or what he's doing. But he's pissing a lot of fans off. Like, I put up a video now on Kai Greene, and the comments I get in there, they're like, I only liked this video or only commented because I like your videos, but don't do any more videos on Kai Greene. Like, people get actually angry at me for doing videos on Kai Greene and discussing all this sort of stuff. What do you think about guys teasing that they might do comps and stuff? Because Dan Solomon even came out and spoke on Kai Greene and said that he doesn't like it, essentially. He doesn't like that, you know, he constantly has to answer questions on is Kai Greene doing the Olympia. So what do you think about that sort of, I suppose, technique to keep your name out there a bit more?
It's not something I like. It's not something I would ever do. I think it's better to just be fucking straight up with people. I think this is the sad part about it. I think Kai will always be relevant without having to do that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like if tomorrow Kai Greene came out and said, look, I'm retired. I'm never going to compete again. Just don't, even if I put out something where I look incredible, I'm probably not going to get on stage. He's not going to lose any fans. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe he just does it for a laugh. I don't know. Maybe he's seeing a spike in sales. I don't know. I don't know what the reason would be. I advise him, if he doesn't need my advice, but if it was me, I wouldn't want to piss people off for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if there's got to be a reason he's doing it, because I don't think maybe he just likes, maybe the hype is getting him some sales. Maybe that's why, because, you know, he's got a supplement company, and maybe, you know, all of a sudden Nick Strength and Power is posting about it. You're posting about it. You know, Dan Solomon's talking about it on every channel. Maybe it's giving him a bump. I don't know. But I don't think it's a good strategy myself. I think it's kind of shit to do that to people. Because you know what? It's not. Maybe he's doing it as a game, and he might think it's a game. But a lot of people are like, you know, a lot of people get invested in their heroes. You know what I mean? And to a lot of people, including myself, you know, they might have watched that Kai Greene documentary that Dave, is it Pulcinella, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but when he was with Muscle Med. Yeah, when he was with Dave, when he was with Muscle Meds, Kai was my hero after I watched that shit. I was like, this guy's insane. Like, this is who I want to be. And I think people feel like that, and they want to look at their hero as a hero, and then he's fucking with them all the time. Is no longer your fucking hero anymore. You're like, this guy's an asshole. So it wouldn't be the way I would go about it. And if that's what he's doing, I hope to God he competes. It would be amazing if he competes. But if he's doing it just to get a rise out of people, it's not a good joke, and it probably isn't not good for business in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've sort of noticed that as well. Like, whatever his management is doing, they've done a lot of right things. But I feel like whatever's happening now, like if I was his management, I'd say, hey, maybe just chill out on those certain things that you're doing now.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously, you know, he's hugely successful. He's in, you know, Stranger Things. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, just some of the stuff now, I'm like, oh, like the comments I'm seeing from people, but they're not enjoying these sort of, like, I suppose, him teasing people. And people forget that he hasn't competed since the Arnold Classic in 2016, which is over 4 years now. And, you know, you got to remember Kai Greene is getting a bit older, and he's putting out photos that are, you know, old videos that are older videos and whatnot. So maybe he isn't quite looking, you know, he's obviously still going to look phenomenal, but maybe not Olympia winning phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Maybe not Kai Greene phenomenal.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I don't, you know, if I was his management, and I'm not, and I know he probably makes a fortune, so I don't want to be as arrogant as to say like he should. I think people, I'm just going to speak as a fan. How about that? Then nobody can say anything.
Yeah.
As a fan of Kai Greene, I miss the Kai Greene conversations. Or the Kai Greene narration, or Kai Greene's insight and philosophies on training and mental state and those kind of things. I miss that shit. So I follow him. And I don't follow him as a peer. I follow him as a fan. And when I'm watching his shit, I'm like, I don't want to buy an ebook. I don't want to buy an ebook. I want to hear. I want to hear. I mean, I don't. Obviously, you're going to advertise sometimes. But I want to hear you tell me the things that you know. I want to hear you inspire me the way you used to. And I think that's one of the things I think people are missing about Kai. Because when I was introduced to Kai Greene, that's all it was. It was one speech after another, and some people thought it was too much. I loved it because I like that mental health, self-help kind of, work on your thoughts and visualize things, and I liked all that. And I feel like it's kind of gone.
Yeah.
So whether he competes or not is irrelevant, but what I would like to see is him get back to the old Kai Greene that used to inspire us all with just his speech. So
yeah, I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I was saying when Kai Greene actually was prepping, and I know all these videos were going up on muscular development. I think it was the first Arnold Classic that he won. The prep for that, and there was talk about him pulling out and maybe he won't do it because everyone was seeing his face, and it's like, oh, it's not sunken in. He's out of condition.
Yeah.
But he came in and won the show. He sort of went quiet for that past week and then came in and won it. That lead up, I remember seeing him doing the Stairmaster, sweating his ass off, talking, and just like I was like drawn in, man. Like I was like listening to his every word he would say. I'd rewatch it. I was just so heavily invested into it. And I know obviously we've got a saturation of content out there now, so it's maybe not going to be as impactful to everyone. But those sort of conversations with Kai Greene were awesome. As the years went on, his conversations got a bit more cryptic. He wouldn't answer questions properly in interviews and things like that. I was a bit sometimes frustrated, but it was still a lot better than seeing a million posts about ebooks and all that sort of stuff.
You know why I think those, and this is speaking from my own experience, and I don't know if this is the same with Kai, but so sometimes you'll see some of those Machiavelli videos that come out, right? And sometimes he'll take clips from something I've done in a video, or he'll take clips from Seth, or take clips from Kai, or whoever it is. Those speeches that I've done anyway, I'll just speak about myself because I don't know how those guys feel, but those speeches that I've done only happen when you're suffering. Like I can't go eat fucking Domino's right now, pizza, and then come sit down and give some like crazy narration about like being fucking motivated and inspired and to get you off your ass. It'll just sound manufactured.
Yeah.
It'll be total fucking bullshit. It'll sound like bullshit. But when I'm 4 weeks out and I'm fucking starving and I'm suffering, it just triggers something in your head, and you can get out these thoughts and feelings that you're really feeling. And because you're really feeling them, the person listening feels them and they feel real. So maybe to defend Kai a little bit, even though I was the one who started saying he should talk more like that, is maybe he just can't bring himself to that place because he's not suffering right now.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good point. Yeah.
So, because that's, I've had people message me and be like, hey, why aren't you doing these like, motivational? And I'm like, they're not, you can't manufacture it.
Yeah.
Like you can't. So maybe that's why. Maybe he's comfortable. He's eating. He's not dieting. He's not suffering. So maybe he just can't like get it out of him,
Yeah. And I know exactly what you mean just from competing myself. Obviously I'm not on the level that you're at or anything like that, but
it doesn't matter.
Quite lean before and my last prep, that last like 1.5, 2 weeks, I said to my partner, I said, I'm like, no one understands unless you're in it. I said, I can hardly put one foot in front of the other right now. I feel like death. Like you're at that stage where you're like, okay, I'm either going to get really sick or I'm going to get on stage and look good. It's one way or the other. So
the thing is what you said though. I just want to make sure I clarify this one thing. It doesn't matter what level you're at, because maybe if it's your first time, you're still feeling the same thing I'm feeling, but you may not be able to articulate it.
Yeah.
When you compete, but it's still the same feeling. You might just not know what it is, right?
Yeah.
When you do it 10 times, whether you're at the top of the fucking, pro ranks or whether you're at the bottom of the amateur ranks, if you've done a diet 10 times or 5 times or 3 times, you start to recognize your feelings and you do it right. Let's say you really suffer and you really do everything right. You start to recognize your feelings and you have those same thoughts. But it's like those thoughts don't register until you do something fucking hard, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why when you listen to like David Goggins or like, Joe Rogan says it sometimes too, like the reward is always on the other side of pain. That's why there's nothing for me to say right now, because I had a pizza 3 days ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's like, but when you go through 8 weeks of suffering and you're starving, all these emotions start to come out, whether you're a pro or an amateur or whatever, it doesn't matter. So
absolutely. Now, what's your, I suppose, in the future, obviously you and Summer work on the business and all that sort of stuff. Do you plan on like, having kids in the future or anything like that? Or are you guys like pretty happy just with your business and staying in your own sort of, I suppose, thing?
I don't know how much to tell. Sometimes I want to tell one of the things about me and Luke being on the show together was we just fucking said everything.
Yeah.
And then after we wrapped, we would always go, did I say too much? Like, I think I said too much. And I'm like, no, we didn't say too much. So I don't know what to say. I guess what I will say is I'm 41. She's 42. We're probably not going to have kids naturally, but we may adopt
Okay,
one
cool.
day.
Yeah.
That's kind of the easiest way to put it in perspective. And before any fucking crazy steroid freak guys are listening say some shit, it's not my fault or her fault. We just wrapped up in our careers. And we both never really felt like it was a priority. We're kind of like, I don't know, man. I think we're both, if this makes sense, we're both selfish together. We just like our time, but we have discussed kids, and obviously we're at the age now where it's like, okay, we're gonna adopt a kid, obviously, because now it's too late naturally. But I'm not sure. We're not. To be completely honest, it's not in the immediate future, but it is something we talk about once a week. It'll come up. We'll talk about it, but it feels like, I don't know. She's very ambitious and I'm very ambitious.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll be 70 years old and we'll look back and go, fuck, we should have been less ambitious about this thing. And I could see that being true, but in the time being, we're like, but there's just so much time in a day. And we have all these goals, and I almost feel like it would have been cool if it happened by accident. Because I have a couple friends that like were like me. They were like, I don't know, it's not the right time, and then it just happened by accident. And now they're like in love with their kids, like the greatest kids in the world. I'm so glad I had kids, but it wasn't like something they planned for. So I almost feel like I wish it would have happened by accident, but it didn't. So now we're gonna have to like plan for an adoption, I think.
Absolutely. And it's funny, like what I've told this story on my channel before, but I'll just say it really quickly. But me and my partner, we were together not too long, and we thought we accidentally got pregnant. My partner had a dream she's pregnant. She took a pregnancy test, and we kept on getting these results where it wasn't even on the actual like the instructions, like what it meant. So we was getting one line that way and one line that way, which wasn't even an option. And then she did it like three times and got that, and I was like, well, you must be pregnant. And she was feeling a bit sick and stuff like that. And then we found out 2 weeks later she wasn't. And I was like, I got used to the idea that I was going to be a dad. So I was like, okay. And I was happy about it. And then she wasn't. I was like, huh. And she's like, what, are you disappointed? And I was like, yeah, sort of. Like I said, I got used to the idea. I said, I thought I was going to be a dad if I thought my swimmers worked, And she goes, do you want to try? And I was like, oh, like, let me think about it for a couple of days. And then she asked me 2 days later. I was like, let's do it, because she has PCOS mildly. I had hormonal issues when I was younger. I was like, we're not exactly the best candidates. So we started trying, and it literally happened straight away. And honestly, it's the biggest blessing. But because obviously yourself and Sommer are so ambitious and so, I suppose, career driven, I know for a fact that one or both of you would get super frustrated in the amount of time it does drain. You know what I mean? Which it sounds like a bad way to say it, like they're draining your time because it's such a blessing, but you just don't have that time. And sometimes you'll put him down and you'll be like, sweet, I've got a couple of hours, he's going to sleep. 5 minutes later, he'll wake up and you're like, oh, my plan's out the window. And it is frustrating, but even for my partner this time, she's noticed that, because she's very similar to me, very similar to you guys as well, very career driven, very motivated to go and do things. And she's even found out that, this time around, because she has 2 older kids, it's been more, I suppose, frustrating because we don't have a family around us where we live now. So we don't really have any family much around where we live or anything. So it's a lot more on her. And she's like, well, I've sort of figured out that, it is pretty damn tough trying to do it all yourself. And I was like, yeah. Definitely.
Well, I got, Paul's my training partner, and he's one of the ones that, like, it was an accident to, for lack of a better word. It's not an accident, but I guess so. And I watch it. He's got 2 little girls now, and I can't do what he does. Yeah. I can't. I just can't. He's got, he's out there playing basketball with them. Then he's playing cards with them, and then he's going to work. Then after work, he's coming to work out, and then he's got to get home and like read to them and shit. I'm like, man, that sounds like a lot of work, dude. I'm like, I don't think I could do that. I mean, obviously, but this is what I mean. Like, obviously, if it happened by accident, like it did for him, I would step up and probably be that way too.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, like, hey, I'm gonna take 12 hours of your day away, I'd be like, I don't think I can give you that time, give you that time, right? So it's a very selfish thought process, and I think my wife she's more driven than I am. So, like I said, it just never happened, but maybe one day an adoption of some sort or something. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's incredibly noble as well. Like, because you're obviously helping out someone that needs to be adopted or needs some sort of care or anything like that. So I think that's really, really cool, and I love that, man. I think that's really says a lot about you guys. So, Fouad, I want to thank you for coming on Desktop Bodybuilding. It was an awesome interview. I'd love to do this maybe every couple of months or something, because there's a lot of topics I could discuss with you, and I feel like we could probably talk for another hour or two and it wouldn't even be hard. So thank you so much. So if people want to check out the Hosstile supplements, the apparel, all that sort of stuff, visit hosstile.com. It's Hosstile with 2 S's, and just check it out there, because like we said, just go look at the ingredients lists if you know anything about these sort of ingredients, and you'll be insanely impressed. And the way I've sort of told a few people is like, I'm like, hey, you could take this pre-workout, you could take this continuously, or you could take 2 tubs, for 2 months. You could go on one of the Hosstile ones and then go off for a month. It'll cost you about the same amount, but it's going to be a lot more beneficial. So that's sort of how I explain it to people. And plus, you're giving your body that little bit of a rest anyway. So that's the way I explain it, because like, what do you want your physique to look like? A Ferrari or a fucking Toyota?
Well, this is the way you could explain it too. If half a scoop of Bloodshot is 16 grams, it's probably still more than your current pre-workout.
Exactly. And then that would be cheaper too.
So now you got 40 servings, really. And you know what? I have had people do that. I have had people message me and say, hey, I only take half a scoop and it's great and whatever. So there's a bunch of different ways to look at it. But anyway, thank you for the time, man. I appreciate you having me on.
That's all good. That's Fouad Abiad, multiple-time pro contest winner, owner of Hosstile. Thank you so much for coming on.